TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin, broadcast from Jerusalem. The Israeli Air Force successfully eliminates two of the Ayatollah regime's most senior leaders. The European Union's High Representative for Security and Foreign Policy, Kaja Kallas, says its member states do not want to place their people in harm's way in the Strait of Hormuz. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel maintains surprising elements for the Ayatollah regime moving forward. The tyrannical Ayatollah regime in Iran is desperately trying to hold to power, frantically attempting to display calm while taking unabashed jabs at U.S. President Donald Trump. Spokesman of the Ayatollah regime's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps claimed that Iran was engaged in a successful battle to prevent the United States and Israel from entering into the field, where, according to him, the outcome of the battle would ultimately be decided.
A message to the President of the United States. The outcome of war cannot be determined by tweets. The result of a war is determined in the field, the very place where you and your forces do not dare to approach, and you can only talk about it in your tweets. It's better to name this war as epic fear instead of epic fury.
The blatant remarks by the RGC spokesman were made merely several hours before Israeli Air Force aircraft launched dozens of strikes against regime targets throughout Iran, during the course of which the de facto leader of the Ayatollah regime, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council Ali Larijani, was successfully eliminated, alongside both the commander-in-chief and deputy commander of the repressive Basij forces.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I had instructed the IDF to continue hunting down the leadership of the regime of terror and oppression in Iran and to repeatedly cut off the head of the octopus and prevent its growth. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke about the high turnover rate of Iran's leadership. When morning emerges in Washington, we will update him that the high turnover rate persists and even intensifies following the assassination of two of the most senior remaining leaders. I have now been updated by the Chief of Staff that Supreme National Security Council Secretary Larijani and the head of the Basij, which is the central repression body in Iran that was responsible for the massacre of the protesters, were assassinated tonight and joined the head of the destruction plan, Khamenei, and all the eliminated members of the axis of evil in the depths of hell.
Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz further highlighted that the terror regime, which proactively sought to eliminate Israel, is getting destroyed. Overnight, during a signing ceremony of an executive order in Washington, President Donald Trump highlighted the importance of the military campaign against the Ayatollah regime in Iran, which actively sought to attain nuclear weapon capabilities.
If you believe that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon, they should not have it, then you have to absolutely love what I've done, because in 2 weeks we have decimated them. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weapons, they have no leadership. The leadership is gone. But then they set up a new leadership to go and name a new leader, and that leadership is gone. And now they think maybe the sun is gone. They're all gone. My biggest problem is I have no idea who we're talking to, because nobody ever heard of any of these people. They're all dead. But we did a job for the world, not a job for us, for the whole world. We took the worst country in 50 years and maybe longer from the ideological standpoint, a country that wanted to blow up the world, a country that is sick.
Earlier, during a lunch event with Kennedy Center board members, President Trump also addressed Israel's decision to launch a ground operation into Lebanon in response to the Iranian proxy Hezbollah launching hundreds of rockets and unmanned aerial vehicles towards Israel's northern communities.
Hezbollah is a problem. It's been a problem for a long time, not just now. And it's a certain area, because I was with the other night a person whose parents live in Lebanon. This is a very substantial person, wealthy person. whose parents live in Lebanon. I said, really? How do you live in Lebanon? Your parents are living? Oh, yeah, they live there. And over the years, they've gotten used to the fact that it's being bombed. But they explained to me that it's really a different section of Lebanon. It's the section where Hezbollah is. And they get used to it, I guess. Hezbollah is a big problem, and they're rapidly being eliminated.
Meanwhile, in Israel, IDF spokesman Efi Defrin expanded on the latest vis-a-vis Israel's operations versus the Iranian proxy Hezbollah, which, as IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir noted earlier this week, is clearly getting weaker, the weaker the Ayatollah regime in Iran gets as well.
As was stated by the Chief of Staff, the impact of harming and weakening the regime in Iran is also felt in the campaign against Hezbollah. In the past 24 hours, Division 91 forces have begun ground operations at key targets in southern Lebanon as part of strengthening the defense of northern communities. The forces are destroying terrorist infrastructure and eliminating terrorists. As I had noted, which reflects our operations in the field, IDF fighters will be a buffer between any threat and the residents of the north. We have bolstered our forces in Northern Command, and we will continue to intensify the operation in coming days.
General Defrin further expanded on a variety of operational efforts by the IDF against the terror regime in Iran.
We are constantly operating to deepen the damage to the Iranian regime and its branches, and to remove the threats to Israel over time. We are operating according to a plan and are achieving the goals we have set for ourselves so far. Our pilots are constantly attacking throughout Iran. In the past 24 hours, we hit the Revolutionary Guard's naval headquarters. The Iranian regime used this headquarters to turn the naval arena into a terrorist arena. In another attack in the heart of Tehran, we hit and destroyed a center for developing satellite attack capabilities, a center that posed a threat to space assets and satellites of Israel as well as of the entire world. In parallel, we continue to attack the Basij forces, the repressive Iranian forces. The regime's operatives live with a sense of persecution and are looking for places to hide. There is no immunity.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a film statement, asserted that Israel will work tirelessly to help the Iranian people achieve freedom.
This morning we eliminated Ali Larijani. Ali Larijani is the boss of the Revolutionary Guards, which is the group of gangsters that de facto runs Iran. We also eliminated the commander of the Basij alongside him. These are the gangsters' assistants, who spread terror on the streets of Tehran and other cities of Iran against the population. We are also operating there. We are operating from the air with Air Force aircraft, with drones. We are undermining this regime in the hope of granting the Iranian people a chance to remove it. It won't happen all at once. It won't happen easily. But if we persist in this, we will give them a chance to take their fate into their own hands. At the same time, we are helping our American friends in the Gulf. I spoke at length with President Trump yesterday on this issue. There is cooperation between our air forces and our navies, between me and President Trump and his team. We will help with both indirect attacks, which create tremendous pressure on the Iranian regime, and also with direct actions. There are many more surprises. We will wage war with stratagems. We will not reveal all the maneuvers here, but I told you, there are many.
The support which Israel provides the United States to include matters related to defending both Gulf Arab states as well as the waterways in the vicinity comes at a time when EU member states are failing to stand by the United States in securing the strategic Strait of Hormuz, upon which many of those countries are heavily reliant upon for energy products and fertilizers.
Nobody is ready to put their people in harm's way in the Strait of Hormuz. But like I said, we have to find, diplomatic ways to keep this open so that we don't have a, food crisis, fertilizers crisis, energy crisis in the world.
So you would imagine some kind of diplomatic solution and then European navies could be involved there. Is that more likely?
Yes, that is what member states were saying. I mean, after the hostilities have stopped, then the case might be different.
The EU High Representative continued by claiming that the European institution does not really understand the moves of the United States versus the Islamic Republic of Iran, regardless of the Trump administration explicitly stating its war objectives publicly.
We are allies with America, but we don't really understand their moves recently. Like I said, also we haven't been consulted and we don't really understand what are the objectives of this war. So I think this is the underlying feeling.
It is worth pointing out that Kaja Kallas, who formerly served as Prime Minister of Estonia, evidently failed to recognize the position of her own country, and despite serving as an apologist for Ukraine, she seemingly decided to disregard years of Iranian support for Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Thankfully, her country of Estonia has not, with Tallinn's top diplomat during a joint press conference with his Israeli counterpart, Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, in Jerusalem today, emphasized support for both Israel and the United States in their war against the Ayatollah regime in Iran.
Iran's nuclear and missile programs, its support for terrorist organizations, and its cooperation with Russia in its war of aggression against Ukraine all pose serious threats to regional and global security. Estonia supports the efforts of Israel and the United States to ensure that Iran cannot pose such a threat. For years, we have closely monitoring the growing cooperation between Iran and Russia, including reports of military coordination and intelligence sharing. And we can say as well that Iran and Russia are the two different sides of the same coin of evil.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, which is made possible by the generosity of our viewers. Please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Mevorach. God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.